My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Alien Covenant, and this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But my reaction to this movie has evolved over time. When I first saw it, I hated this movie. I was so incredibly disappointed with it. But then I watched it again and I actually liked it that time. I thought it was a very solid movie, if a bit flawed. But this time, rewatching it again, lots of my issues have just vanished and I actually love this movie now. Like, it's just one of the most ambitious and out there blockbusters of the 2010s, and I just love so much here. So let's begin talking about the performances. And Michael Fassbender should have been at the very least nominated for this movie. He's playing two different characters and he's doing some masterful work here. He can be sweet and sympathetic and understanding, but he can also be real mean and manipulative and sinister. And he's just doing so much in this movie and all of it perfectly. He also brings so much nuance to these characters, and uh, it's masterful work. It really is. Then you've got Catherine Waterston, who I think does a real good job as well. I like how she's smart, she'll say what's on her mind, but she's also just grieving and going through a lot. I think she showcases all of that so incredibly well. You've also got Billy Crudup, who is forced into a leadership position and he's just trying his best. He's a very flawed character, but I thought he brought enough here. Then you've also got Danny McBride, who I think gives one of his best performances here. Like, there's nothing super over the top or anything, he just plays this dramatic character so incredibly well. There's a scene where he receives some devastating news, and he just really delivers here. I wish we got him in more movies like this because he has enough personality and his voice just allows him to stand out, but he holds back here and very good work. And everyone else does a perfectly fine job, but nobody else stands out in any way, shape, or form. I do like how in this movie, so many of the characters are part of a couple. So when people die, they actually react to it and it actually affects them and they're actually grieving for a good chunk of this movie. It just adds some extra emotion to everything going on, a certain hopelessness, and it adds stakes to the movie. I also like how this movie expands upon Prometheus's thematic ideas. Like, this movie is also about creation and our relationship to our creator and trying to find a purpose in life. But this movie has goes even farther with those ideas. It has a real mean edge to this movie, and I thought it was just explored in a fascinating manner. Like, there's a real Frankenstein type plot here where David is just simply experimenting with life. He's simply creating because he's curious and he's bored, so why not? And I think that makes for some great compelling ideas. You know, there's an angle to this movie where it explores man, machine, and monster. And it's just so well done, like so well balanced, so well written. You know, when I first saw this movie, I hated the fact that the eggs and the face huggers were created by David, but now it kind of works for me. Like, it's just so weird and out there, and I understand the negative reaction, but as just a mad scientist type of movie, it works. It works. I don't think it takes away from the meanness and just how evil the xenomorphs are. It just adds that to these bigger ideas. So yeah, I really do love that angle of the movie, and I also love how this movie delivers on the ideas in Prometheus, but you also get lots of the alien carnage in this movie. It's one of the more graphic movies in this franchise, which is real great. Like, there is some effective scenes. That backbuster moment, just, oh my goodness. I also think this movie can be very thrilling and tense when it needs to be. And there is one scene where we see all these engineers dying and just having these aliens burst out of them. And it's a very quick scene, but it's just so well done. Like, it's just a beautiful graphic moment. And speaking of beautiful, this movie is fantastic visually. Like, the cinematography by Darius Rulowski is just top notch. I think the production design is real great. I like how you can tell they shoot this movie on location every now and again. The music by Judd Cozell is pretty decent. So it's really well directed by Ridley Scott. Technically, it's just got lots to it. But then we get to the ending of this movie. Well, you get the big climax, it's exciting, and even though it is so obvious that Watto is actually David, it still packs a mean punch. Like, the implications of that ending and what he's going to do to all these people in cryosleep and all these embryos, like, it is so twisted and so out there, and I am forever bummed we'll never see a follow-up to this movie, because it just ends on a note where I need to see what happens next. Like, if I thought this movie had a great mad scientist angle, I could only imagine what was in store for the next one. Yeah, so that's slightly disappointing. So yeah, like, I love so much of this movie. It's compelling thematically, it's tense and thrilling, it's got great performances, it's beautifully made. My issues with this movie is still, as someone who loves Prometheus, I'm glad this movie exists the way it does, but there's still a part of me that wish we got a bit more engineers, a bit more Elizabeth Shaw. Like, even if it was done in flashbacks, I just wish it followed up on that ending a tiny bit more. I still think, the ideas, and what we find out happened to Elizabeth is really horrific, but I would have liked to see it. And, even, like, I know there was supposed to be another movie after this one. I'm still curious to see how the engineer ship would have ended up on that planet in Aliens. So, like, there's an aspect of this movie that feels unfinished because the story is unfinished, and that does factor into my thoughts while I'm watching this movie. But it's not really fair at the same time. But yeah, anyways, those are just minor issues. It's just some extra stuff I would have liked to see, but the way the movie exists is just great. It's just so ambitious. Like, it really is. It's so out there, and I appreciate that. It's my type of blockbuster, so I'm giving Alien Covenant an 8.5 out of 10. If you can't tell by my ratings for this franchise, this is one of my all-time favorite franchises, if not my favorite. Like, I just love these movies. But what's your thoughts on Alien Covenant? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon, and Gavin out.